All right, we're gonna talk about the Knicks' second preseason game against the Pistons. You're gonna look at the highlights on the right, obviously, very quickly. And what I want to focus on is more so here when it comes to the plus minus of. Let's go here. When it comes to the plus minus of the team, and just going based off of watching the game, it was very frustrating in the first half. But again, this is a young team. A championship is not expected. Certainly, I had to throw out any kind of notes that I had because the second half was completely different. I did like the fight and the spirit in the team. Obviously, you don't expect players in the first game to have the same type of impact that they had in the second game because teams are going to make adjustments. And they adjusted to Knox, who played well. They adjusted to Toppin, who played well. And this is just part of the learning curve that they're going to have to do. They're going to have to figure out a way of, and I'm talking about Knox and all the young players, on how to correctly adjust for teams. There was a lot of forced shots. Um, it didn't seem fluid at all. But again, that's expected. It's the preseason. This is a young team. This is not a championship contender by any means, but it's about baby steps. I will make a note that just looking at that Mitchell Robinson dunk, that I see now why Noel is starting and why Mitch isn't. Mitch had about five. Well, how many fouls did he have? Uh, he had personal fouls. Frank fouled out with six. Mitch had five, and Mitch did not play enough. And look at his plus minus. I mean, this is a really concerning issue right here. Is that he's not affecting winning. And when you look at Nerlens Noel, he was plus 10. So that says a lot right there. And as a coach, I think it validates Tom's choice to not start Mitch until he affects winning better. I don't know if it's demeanor. I don't know what it is. But for whatever reason, it's in the stats, and you can see it right here with the plus minus. Dennis Smith Jr. has been a train wreck. I do think that they're trying to inflate his value. Um, that was a great pass right there. He made I think he made two or three really good passes. He did not command the team. He did not lead them where he needs to. Tom is very bullish on him, or they're trying to inflate his trade value to get rid of him because I don't see Dennis Smith fitting on this team. I really don't. I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else. And it doesn't make sense to bench Frank or to not play quickly at some point in the year. So I think Dennis Smith Jr. will be gone sooner rather than later. And again, going by this plus minus, you can see surprising with Reggie Bullock. I didn't notice anything other than he missed several open shots. Um, so I don't know what the situation was, but those three right there, with plus minus, directly impacted the team. Um, and again, we're not playing any of our younger guys, whether it's Miles Powell. What happens when Austin Rivers gets back? Iggy is not playing. I think sooner rather than later, we're going to have to figure out again how to move on from Dennis Smith Jr., how to move on from Reggie Bullock, how to move on potentially from Mitchell Robinson because his value is sinking little by little, and you want to get the most that you can out of him. Now with Noel there, I mean, bigs are expendable. It's the point guard that's the hardest to find in a sense of elite point guard. But we'll see how it goes. Again, this is only the second game. Um, Toppin is going to have ups and downs. He looked great in the first game. He looked awful in the second game. Same thing for Kevin Knox. Emmanuel quickly was impressive. I will give him that. And I'm starting to be a little bit more bullish on him. He definitely has a feel for the game um, that can't be replicated. You can't teach that. Like he didn't force shots like Kevin Knox and Dennis Smith Jr. Like they were covering him to be a shooter, and you saw his response. He just drove. He gave what the defense gave him, which is indicative of a very high basketball IQ. And this is Knox's third year, so it goes to show that you cannot train that aspect of the game. Knox, at the end of the day, has to be able to be content with and Toppin with not shooting if it's not there. And I know that they're all fighting for contracts and it's easier said than done. but Tibbs always preaches, and good coaches always preach. Go with where the defense is giving you. It's a simple game. If you're doubled, make the read. If you're open, take the shot. If you take Mitchell Robinson was showing on Instagram those jump shots that he was making off the dribble and those 3-pointers. This is the NBA. They're not going to allow that, but I would encourage him if he's open at the top of the key to shoot it if he has confidence in practice. Same thing with Toppin. Toppin has a wonderful form. He took, I'm going to say half of his shots were a bit forced, but he missed open shots. And Tibbs said in the press conference that open shots are not always going to fall. And if you remember Van Gundy or Pat Riley or Spoelstra, anybody from that lineage or that tree of coaching will tell you the same thing, that defense is going to win. There has not been one championship won ever in the history of the NBA without defense. Look at where the Phoenix Suns of D'Antoni ended up. Look at where the Rockets are right now and their mess. Even though the Rockets did improve defensively, defense is something that you can bring every day, even if your shots are not going down. And these kids have to understand that. I want to give a shout out to Julius Randle because he was impressive yesterday. He started off horrifically. I was, screaming at the TV and I wanted to get rid of him, but he is pushing the pace. He's not over dribbling in the lane. He will stop if he sees bodies, unlike he did last year. And he is looking for shooters. He's looking to finish. He's drawing contact. I really, really hope that we hold on to him at least through the year. And again, things may change. But I hope that we hold on to him for the rest of the year because I think he's the perfect mentor when it comes to that aspect of the floor. And again, Obi's not a defensive player at all. That RJ Barrett quarter in the third was amazing. He really took over and he's really trying to lead the team. This kid, Dumbuya from the Pistons, wow. Siakam, it looked like he was a stud. He was everywhere shooting. He was really unstoppable. Again, it's a preseason, not to get too hype, but the Pistons definitely have a keeper there. The Pistons, in time, just like everybody else, they're going to be there. They got to get rid of Blake Griffin, obviously, because it's a young team. I don't see his value there. But Dumbuya was really good. But in any case, we're going to see, again, just we got to keep mind, with the Knicks and the media to not make a big deal out of everything. They're going to fail more often than not. Obi Toppin, who was just drafted at one point on the floor, was the oldest player on the team, and he's a rookie. Kevin Knox is young. Frank is young. So they're going to have to play through their jitters, their worry about it. They have to make the right reads and the right passes at all times. Mitch has to change his attitude and really focus on being a professional player at all times. He has to stop jumping. I know that he blocked many 3-pointers. I think he broke the record or something along those lines of blocked 3-point shots. Or maybe not broke the record, but maybe he broke the Knicks record. He's very active, but they're going to use that to their advantage. So he needs to adjust to that and stop giving those ticky-tack fouls. And again, this is going to be interesting to see. I think if the Knicks are competitive, like if they're competitive for the playoff tournament, it would be a great year. And we're going to see what happens. I would like to see a few more moves. I do want to see these kids playing a little bit more at some point. But we'll see how it goes. And then the next game is, I think, Wednesday against Cleveland. They're going to have another back-to-back. And it's a good test because teams are going to adjust. So the Knicks have to adjust as well. So we'll see how it goes. I'm still optimistic. I mean, if you're a Knicks fan, that's all you can be is be optimistic. But we'll see how it goes. All right. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe. Oh my God.